You know those coins rattling around in your pocket or your car? You probably don't even think about them. But what if I told you they're a direct link to an ancient revolution? An idea that, and I mean this, literally changed the world. So let's dive in and see how it all began.
I mean, think about it. Today, money's kind of invisible, right? It's crypto, it's contactless payments, it's NFTs, stuff you can't even hold in your hand. That is a universe away from a time when trade was all about physical stuff. Can you imagine trying to buy, I don't know, the latest smartphone with a flock of chickens? Sounds crazy, but that was the reality. And honestly, it was a terrible system.
So, before we had money, all we had was bartering, a direct swap of goods and services. I'll give you this for that. And for thousands of years, that's how people got by. But as society started to get bigger and more complex, this super simple system started to become a huge, huge problem.
Okay, so let's break down just how much of a headache bartering really was. First, there's this thing called the double coincidence of wants. It's a mouthful, but it just means you had to find someone who had the exact thing you wanted, and they had to want the exact thing you had. Good luck with that. Then you had to figure out a fair price, like how many chickens is one cow worth, and what if you just wanted some milk, not the whole cow? You can't exactly get change from a cow, can you? And to top it all off, just think about dragging all that stuff around. It was just clunky. It put a serious brake on how big any economy could get.
Clearly, something had to change. The world needed a solution, and fast. And the people who stepped up to solve this massive global problem? Well, they were the ancient Lydians.
And the Lydians were just perfectly set up for this. We're talking 7th century BC in what's now Western Turkey. Their capital, Sardis, was a booming center for trade. And here's the kicker. They were incredible metalworkers, and their land just happened to be loaded with this stuff called electrum. It's a natural mix of gold and silver. So they had the reason, they had the skills, and they had the raw materials. The perfect storm, really.
And here's the funny part, the real irony. The Lydians were so good at trade, so successful, that the old system, bartering, just couldn't keep up. It was holding them back. Their own success created a huge bottleneck. They'd basically outgrown the system that got them there in the first place.
And just a little bit of dramatic foreshadowing for you, all that incredible wealth they created, well, it eventually put a huge target on their backs. In the 6th century BC, their riches caught the eye of the Persian Empire, and, spoiler alert, all the money in the world wasn't enough to save them. But yeah, before all that drama went down, they had this absolute eureka moment. They came up with something totally new. An invention that would make trade a breeze, let people store their wealth, and, well, change the world forever. So the very first stamped coins pop up in Lydia, right around the 7th century BC. We don't know the name of the one genius who thought of it, but we do know it happened under King Alyattes and then his successor, Croesus. And that name might ring a bell. You know the saying, as rich as Croesus? Yep, that's him. He's the guy who really took this idea and ran with it, standardizing and popularizing the whole concept of currency.
And this is really the key takeaway here. A Lydian coin wasn't just a shiny piece of metal. It was a system, a whole new idea. It was standardized, so they all had a set weight. It was portable, easy to carry around. And the big one, it was backed by the state. That stamp of approval, that guarantee, meant you didn't have to bust out a scale for every single transaction. You could just trust it. That was a game changer.
So what did these first coins actually look like? Well, they weren't perfectly round like ours. They were more like these little, irregular, bean-shaped blobs of electrum. Kind of rough, really. But the design was actually super clever. One side had a stamp on it, maybe a lion's head, to show it was official. And the other side had this deep punch mark. That wasn't just for looks. It was a simple way to prove the coin was solid, precious metal all the way through, not just a plated fake. Pretty smart, huh?
Okay, so you know how history is? It's never quite that simple. And the idea that the Lydians were, without a doubt, the very first to invent coins, well, there's a bit of a debate about that.
See, some experts will point to ancient China. They had these bronze pieces shaped like little knives and spades that they used as money, and that was centuries earlier. But, and this is the big but, the Chinese versions weren't standardized everywhere for a really long time. The genius of what the Lydians did was that they created a uniform, government-backed currency right from the get-go. And that system of trust and standardization was the real revolution.
And believe me, that idea, a standardized, trusted currency, it changed everything. I mean, the impact wasn't slow, it was immediate, it was huge, and it was permanent.
I mean, it just exploded onto the scene. Coinage completely supercharged the Lydian economy. Trade efficiency shot through the roof, economic growth went nuts, the results were just staggering. And an idea that good? It's not going to stay secret for long. It spread like wildfire. Their neighbors, like the Ionian Greeks, saw what was happening and were like, yeah, we want in on that, and they started minting their own coins almost immediately.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. You can draw a straight line from those lumpy little blobs of electrum in ancient Sardis right to the digital ones and zeros zipping between our bank accounts today. The tech is totally different, obviously, but that core Lydian idea, a shared, trusted way to exchange value, that has stuck around for more than 2,500 years.
And this really gets to the heart of it. The real genius of money isn't the metal or the paper it's printed on. It's an idea. It's a collective agreement. It's this wild psychological leap we all make together where we just decide, okay, this thing has value. It's all about shared trust. That was the true Lydian revolution. It was a revolution in human thought.
So, that leaves us with a pretty cool question, doesn't it? The Lydians solved the problems of their day with a simple stamped piece of metal. Today, we're navigating this crazy, complex world of digital finance and crypto. It really makes you wonder, what's the next coin going to be, and what big problem is it going to solve?